What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the So On Time podcast. I'm your co-host, Deja,
And I'm your co-host, Dre.
and this is episode 6. So, long story short, y'all, last week we talked about how our Sunday message in church was like super convicting, and pretty much the same thing happened this week. Our pastor preached, shout out to him, and he was all up in my business.
Yeah, so last week our minister preached, and today our pastor preached. I know I said minister and pastor last episode, but just to clarify that up. Yeah, our church body in our business right now. So
Nah, he was in my business. He was on my street. He
he was
was at
bringing
my
up he was
doorstep.
bringing up conversation we was just having.
So basically, today we were in Matthew 6, I think verses 25
Yeah, to the end.
on down to
Yeah,
the end. And
it's
The Cure for Anxiety. That was
there
the
you go.
title. Yep.
Yep.
The Cure for Anxiety. And it's talking about not worrying. I don't know if it was in this chapter where it talks about like the birds and how they don't reap or so he was talking about worrying and
Yeah.
how like worrying won't add a day or anything to your lifespan. It won't add a minute to your lifespan. You get nothing from worrying. But what really hit me, what stood out, is that worrying is a sin. And we like to measure sin.
Every time you say it though. Like I heard Pastor say it, but since you've been saying it, is
We measure sin. And so today's realization for me, because I'm a worrier and I tend to worry about things that I shouldn't. And we talked about this last episode or one of the episodes. If you're going to pray, then why worry? If you're going to worry, then why pray? And it's just like, just because we're believers doesn't mean that you're exempt from like the tests and trials, what you're preaching to other people. A lot of times you go through. And so that's something that I'm that person. I worry about the future and what are we going to do and what's the plan and what's the blueprint instead of just trusting the Lord. But worrying is a sign of a lack of faith, and realizing that to worry, to not put my trust in God the way that he tells me to, is like it's just as bad as the person that's cussing, that's swearing, the fornicator, the adulterer, the all of these things. Like God weighs sin the same. And so again, you can look at yourself and be like, well, I don't do X, Y, and Z, but you're doing something that displeases God.
mm-hmm.
And today was that reminder, like,
Yeah, just go
stop
back.
worrying.
Yeah,
And it's easier said than done.
So yeah, today, talking about the cure for anxiety, a lot of it tied into last week, and a lot of it also tied into what we spoke on about in the episode we just did, episode that you guys just watched, and that really was my takeaway. It's really funny how God can just like maneuver and work things out for you. And we're sitting here and listening to being a lukewarm Christian, not knowing that being a lukewarm Christian also ties into anxiety that you may have. Like again, you don't know what you're going through. I'm mentioning last week in the episode talking about you can read about Moses and the disciples and be like, oh, I want to do what they're doing, and this and the third. But the whole time you worrying about something else. You and worry actually goes deeper than what I thought worry was. I always thought worry was just like, oh, I then lost my keys. What am I going to do? Or I didn't. How am I going to pay this bill? But as Pastor was breaking down today, worrying is you planning out time. You planning out the future way before it's time.
Yeah, not like, oh, I gotta pack my lunch for tomorrow. What am I gonna eat? Like that's not like worrying,
Yeah.
but being like, what we gonna do in 10 years and how we gonna make the money and what happens if our house something happens to our home, and then what if our car breaks down in 5 years? Then what are we gonna do? And
Right.
I gotta work 3, 4, 5 jobs to make sure that nothing happens. And one of my takeaways from the sermon, or another takeaway from the sermon, is that we treat people how we view God. So like,
Yeah, talk about that meat.
I'm about to break it down.
Okay.
I'm about to break it down. So
Say it one
I'm
more
gonna
time.
use it. We treat people according to how we view God.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just use like marriage as an example,
Mhm.
right? Me and you. I'm just use us. If I have an issue trusting God, that's going to manifest in my trust for you. How can I have more trust for you than the amount of trust that I have for God? So
Mm.
if you have a trust issue with God, I don't know how God gonna provide. I don't know that He's gonna come at a certain time and He's gonna be a provider and He's gonna be a protector and this is that and the third. Then you could possibly see that same lack of trust that you have for God manifesting in other relationships. I know we keep talking about the sermons and how they're hitting us, and I think that that's awesome. But I have a question for you. My question is, how would you describe the season of life that you're in right now and all of the things that's happening around you? Obviously, us talking about the sermon is us, expounding on our journey and like the things that the sermons are revealing about ourselves and stuff. But there's other elements of our lives outside of the sermon. So, like, what's going on?
What's going on? I just feel like I don't know. Like I feel like I've stated it before of just being like in a waiting period and seeing what God is going to do and everything like that. I would say in those times that I've said it because it's not the first time that we have spoken on like where we're at in our walk. And those other times was just like me being hopeful. I wasn't necessarily lying because it was the truth, but I was carrying some heavy stuff, and it was just that's the best way for me to explain this. Like I feel like to explain my situation. Because again, I want to be very transparent with you guys because it's not just you. For anybody that does watch, it's for me. Like I said it multiple times before. I feel like this podcast is a um, a, a video journal for us. So I've been very transparent, but um, sometimes you can overshare. So I just always went with like I'm just waiting on God to figure things out. But as of right now, in this part of my life, I'm really yeah I'm in a place right now where I can see myself maturing in my faith. And I remember last season, which honestly, glory to God, because I talked about my car troubles, and Deja's coworker,
One of my friends from
one of
school.
one of Deja's old school friends, listened to our podcast and went and got his car checked.
Yeah, he went and got an
And
oil change because he saw the episode and it was a reminder that he needed to get an oil change.
right, so again, I've been transparent, but I was really down in that episode. I
Yeah,
was really
he
down
was
that day.
down bad when we were recording. That was not a good
That
day.
was not a good day for me. I was truly upset and in my feelings. But God was able to use that, and somebody went to go get his oil change. And
It's
like,
amazing the way that God is going to help people in our podcast or
right,
whatever
and
anybody's
I
doing that
truly,
you overlook it.
yeah, and I truly was taking that moment, like I was just mentioning. I wanted to be transparent. I didn't want to overshare what I was going through, but I just wanted to put out there, like I'm having car
What
troubles.
was even wrong with your car? I don't even remember.
Nothing. It was what I. It was what I. No, wait, no, something was wrong with the car. I don't remember.
I don't know.
Something was wrong with the car at this point in time. But the first season, I had a lot of car instances. Some was trouble, some was my fault in cases. Like my keys in the car, my car is not in the right gear for some reason, didn't roll down a hill, glory to God. Because again, don't need to get into the details of
Yeah.
it. But again, having car troubles now, but I don't feel that level of anxiety that I felt.
The cure for anxiety. Stop worrying.
Yeah, but I was really anxious. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But it seemed like I'm going to have to let this car go because it seemed like if it's not one thing, it's the other. So um I was really up there in my feelings about just like the worry, the grief, the sorrow about this car. And now having car troubles again in the same kind of like back to back way of things happening, I don't have that level of anything. I'm really okay. I'm truly okay.
Very good.
It usually would take me a little minute. It hit me when we went to go see Sound of Hope. That's when it
Oh, it's
really
a
hit
great
me.
movie.
And everything that was stated in that movie wasn't far off from like conversation that we didn't had or conversations our ministers and pastor has had with us. But watching that movie and how they was moving through that, a lot of things were just realized.
Mm.
And it was just like I really feel like I'm in a maturing state right now. But outside of just being in a maturing state, it was I don't know. I'm just really in a place of trusting God. I'll say that, which I probably always have said. Anyway, I'm gonna say it in this instance. If I've said it before,
I feel like you've always trusted God, but I think your level of trust for him has
Yeah, because
increased
I feel like that's just
because you've been through so much with him and you keep seeing like how he's making things, how he's working it all together.
yeah.
So it's like you have evidence. Oh, I remember when this
Oh,
happened. This is
I
how
know.
God came through.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I feel like this is better. Yes, I'm in a place of trusting God, but I'm more in a I gotta do it place to trust God. Like I'm in a doer state instead of just like patiently waiting. Like,
That's big.
but I'm okay with doing things. Like I'm okay with fixing this car and allowing God to bless it. I'm okay with doing one of the checklists that we need to do around this house and letting God bless it. You know, instead of just like feeling peace with moving, like feeling peace. I'm at peace with this. Let me go ahead and do this now. Like letting it settle in me and like understand like okay, I can move in this. I'm just ready to move and allowing God to like He got it. He got it. Like I know I can do this because God got it. Is more so where I'm at. I feel like that's a better way to say it. So glory to God for that.
I think that I am in a huge learning curve of what I thought being a wife was or what it looked like. I'm learning what it actually means and more so what it means to be your wife and not just like, oh, the podcast I listened to said this is how wives should be. So then I try to go implement it, but it's not what you need from me. I think I'm also in a season of um God blessing me with, I keep saying it all the time. Like, God is blessing me with the very things that I used to pray for and used to believe Him for, and what I felt like took forever for Him to bring. And I feel like He's bringing it all at once to the point where sometimes when I worry about it, it can be overwhelming
Mm,
because it seems like everything is changing all of a sudden.
mm,
Like, just using us, for example, I was single for years. Then all of a sudden, you come, we get married, and then just the plans that we have and the things that we talk about and like working on our home and renovating our home. And it's like I used to watch HGTV all the time as a kid and dream about the day that I would renovate a home. And now he's doing it and I'm so grateful for the blessing. But when I worry about it, it feels like too much. But when I just put my hands to the plow and start working and not think overthinking it, I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm having fun, I'm enjoying it, I'm optimistic, I'm all the things.
mm,
But when I let my mind wander way too much, it goes left. So I would
mm,
say that is something that's going on in this season. Also, I got a revelation today
mm,
because we had like an altar prayer and I just asked for like, clarity um and guidance and stuff and for provision because a lot of things are like breaking or needing to be fixed. So obviously we have our home, but like we got to fix the floors because this issue happened, or, or our washer just went out randomly. Dre just mentioned he needs a car now. So it's just like, I think God is really showing us that he provided for us, oh my goodness, what was needed for the season that we were in. So like those floors suited you then, that washer suited you then, that car suited you for the season that you were in. But we are now entering into a new season as one, and he's about to like bless us with our stuff, like new beginnings, if that makes sense.
mm,
So I think I'm realizing that like just as much as you're saying you have a piece about the like having car problems, I have a piece about the stuff that's breaking because I'm just like, okay, he gonna provide. Like we're gonna be good. He provided this before. If he can provide it then, he'll provide something new now, and it may be something more of like what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So, I think I'm in that season as well, kind of like you, just trusting him and having evidence that he's gonna do what he's already shown me that
mm,
he's capable of doing.
mm,
And I would say just doing it, not talking about it, but like actually taking action and being persistent, even if it means I'm tired. We stayed up till midnight yesterday working on our dining room, and I was tired before we even went to the store to buy the stuff. Like
mm. Yeah,
I
true.
was completely
Yeah.
tired, but we're gonna push through our fatigue and get this stuff done because this is what we want to do. So I think also being in that season of doing and not having things don't have to be perfect. We don't know nothing about the stuff we doing. We learning, we figuring it out as we go. We
Absolutely not.
buying tools and all of this stuff, but that's part of the fun in the journey. Like we could pay for people to do it, but then we don't have the memories of us doing it and like the wisdom and experience of doing it. So I think we're in a season of like, just do it. God put something on your heart to start, do it. It's time to bring the podcast back. Do it. Quit talking about it, you know?
I think that what plays into all that is getting answered prayers and just being so in tune to realize that these prayers are being answered. Because sometimes, which Pastor mentioned today for like our homework assignment, write down some of your major and minor worries. And then once we pass it back, look what God did with those. And sometimes you can pray about things and pray about it and pray about it, and then life goes on and you totally forgot. Then that prayer is answered, but you had totally forgot about it.
Completely.
So I feel like in this season right now that we're praying and getting answers and seeing the answers, just being so in tune with God and taking our time to grow our relationship together, and steward well over our relationships by ourselves as well. We can always be better, but seeing those things, being in church today and listening to a prayer being answered. I remember 2 years ago while we was doing the first season that I was wondering like, when is this stuff not going to bother me anymore? When am I going to hit a roadblock and not immediately get depressed?
I remember us having that conversation. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
No, I remember. Wow.
Exactly.
You did, Dre, you.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I remember you would get super down, and I'm like, Dre, it's okay. It's fine. Like, it's going to be this, that, and the third. And look at you now, calming me down.
Yeah.
You ain't got a care in the world.
Nope. I remember like, when am I not going to go through something and immediately get depressed just because of my testimony? Yeah, because it's hard when you see nothing happen for you in life and you trying really hard and you're just failing to like, oh, I'm always gonna fail. It's easy to go back into that cycle, but it's like once I came here and started realizing everything, it was just like, when is it not gonna bother me though? Like, when is failing not going to bother me? When is a setback not going to bother me? Because it's not even the setback that's bothering me. I got the money. I'm saving. I'm stewarding. I have the money to pay for it, but this is bothering me that this is a setback.
Maybe it just was a trigger.
Oh yeah, it was a trigger. That's what I'm saying.
To things not working.
Yeah, that's what I
So
said.
it's like
having
wow, this stuff keep happening to me, not realizing it's happening to everybody. This is part of life.
Yeah,
it's just how you're responding to
like I
it.
said, having a testimony that I tried in life. I truly tried, and I failed at everything I wanted to try at. So like having that and carrying that every time I hit a roadblock, I'll get depressed because it just showed me like a reminder that I really tried my hardest.
Look at you now.
2 years later.
Look at you now.
I am okay. I am truly okay.
I guess we can end on that note, y'all. Want to hear something funny? This is the first episode that Dre and I have not worn matching shirts this season.
Darn it.
Yep. We
were supposed to.
Well, no, maybe we'll do it the next time. Today was kind of like unintentional, in a way. Before we end it, we just want to inform you guys that our scheduling is going to change. So instead of it being every Tuesday, it's going to be every second and fourth Tuesday. So we'll still be putting the podcast out and sharing our journey with you guys, but it will be pretty much 2 episodes a month. So be on the lookout for that. I got a dad joke. It's not a Christian dad joke. Maybe they don't have to always be Christian, like Bible ones, because I feel like that's what makes it hard. Because I feel like there's only so many good Bible dad jokes. But I said this one before to you, so this may not really be funny.
Okay.
But how do you make a tissue dance?
Put some boogie in it.
Yeah. Yep. So one of my substitute teachers, don't remember this man's name, but literally he told that joke in like the 2nd or 3rd grade, and it has stuck with me. He may be he may have planted the seed for why I love dad jokes so much. I thought that was so funny. I'm in that classroom cracking up as a little girl. To this day, I still tell that joke. So we love y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.